Listen, I'm easy to find. And then they can kiss my ass.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Nathan back with another video presentation. I hope you're all well. Hope you're all staying safe. Hope you're having a great weekend. I know it's been a couple days since you last saw me. I do apologize. Again, work outside of YouTube is very crazy. So a couple things. I want to make some announcements before we get into the video. So I initially had the idea of doing a Major League Baseball draft, mock draft. That had to throw that in the trash. That had no time to make for that. I was supposed to do an NBA free agency recap. That just didn't go according to plan. Like I said, with football, there's really not much going on other than the top 10 players per rank have been released. I might touch on that soon. We'll see as time progresses. I was supposed to do WNBA award show. I'll have to push that back until tomorrow evening. Hopefully I have everything set up for it. I was supposed to do it yesterday. I was supposed to do it Friday, and I just did not do it. So my point is saying that always have an agenda. Make sure if you want to do something, if you have a list of ideas or something you have planned, make sure you write it down and you stick to it, because life will happen, and you may not accomplish everything on your agenda. But the most important thing is that you made some adjustments to it, or you did hamper what you want to do. So, because pretty much the season 9 has been pretty much the Washington Mystics, and this has really been my right now stellar focus, because right now it's really truly women's basketball, and then there's the Baltimore Orioles. But to keep up with the Orioles, it's day by day. It's hard to keep up with all the games and cover each game. It's not as easy as it may look. But with enough talk, as you see in the title of the video, this is another thing. I was supposed to recap the Phoenix Mercury loss against Washington Mystics 3 days ago, because we played them on the 14th. And again, because we did not finish posts until about midnight, and I had to be at work super early. So I want to do that night before. So I'm going to recap it 2 and 1, and then we're going to take it from there. And also, today I had the wonderful pleasure of attending my very first Washington Mystics basketball game. So let me start with the Phoenix Mercury game. So we lost 75-80.
What kind of shit is that?
What was that? What the hell was that? I'm sorry the H words and the D words aren't appropriate over the airwaves, but it's going to be today. I don't know how much more of this I can take. How in God's name?
So let me first, that's what I'm going to do. Let me first start with the pregame clip, because there was a couple questions I asked Coach T, because a couple things that I've noticed that has to be the key for the Mystics is the bench. The bench has to be counterproductive. I said, that's, going to this last third of the season, how important is it going to be your bench? Let me play that clip.
We'll go to Nathan.
Hey, Coach T. I wanted to know how important for, especially this final third of the stretch of the season, are you looking for productivity from your bench?
Well, like I said, a couple minutes ago, I mean, I think that's going to be a real big plus for us. I mean, we're in the top half of the league in bench scoring. I'd like to stay there and improve. For a little stretch earlier in the year, we were in the top three. It would be really good for our team if we could get some consistency in that area. It's nice if you can have 2 or 3 players every night score off your bench. It takes a lot of pressure off everybody else. And it puts more pressure on defenses to kind of figure out some matchups. I think it's going to be important going down the stretch. You're going to need 7 or 8 people that are consistent every night.
And then tonight for the front court, how key, especially with a team with Phoenix that doesn't have Tina Charles, how much of your front court is going to be the key for the game?
Well, certainly, I mean, we can put them in tough positions where we have a size advantage in the lane and make them have to help a little bit more, but it won't necessarily be those players actually scoring as much as that if, Elena or Maisha can draw double teams, that we find other people and knock down shots. I would like to think that we could get some offensive rebounds tonight because we'll have a size advantage. But you get that, that requires a lot of work. And the second part of it is you also don't want to have mediocre offensive rebounding efforts and then give up transition buckets going the other way. Phoenix is going to get out and run hard, and they're going to throw home run passes. Sometimes they're all or nothing passes, but you got to be back and not, give up a number of those.
I appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
So that was pregame, and I did not see that. Sean Spencer was good. Good to see you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Did not see that against Phoenix. I saw a team, in my honest opinion, they looked, for 3 quarters, they looked really not – I saw bad habits. To be up 15 in the first quarter, and then to go in the second quarter, be outscored 32-19, and then you're only up 2 at halftime. And the fact that Phoenix scored 35 points in the second half, may I remind you that not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 of those Phoenix Mercury ball players were in double figures. Elena Deladon led the way with 19, but they really, they were physical with her. And I'll play the post-game clip. There were times we weren't looking for her in certain situations. It's easy to try to overcompensate, and I feel like at times that's what we were doing. But let me just say this. You are not going to, and I said this after the Canada game, you are not going to win basketball games when you're shooting below 35% from the field, 30% from 3, and you've turned the ball over almost 20 times.
This is some bad stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I just don't know. This is ridiculous. Oh Lord.
That's not going to happen. I feel like, to me, the lineups make a big difference because it's interesting to see when Atlanta's out there. It makes a big difference. But I've seen the same Mystic team that when they have Elena Deladon out there, they've beaten Chicago. They've beaten Las Vegas, Connecticut. Like, I know what they're capable of doing. But when Natasha Cloud, particularly, I'm going to say that our big 3, when Natasha Cloud, Ariel Atkins, and Elena Deladon, the minutes when they're not out there, they're struggling. Natasha played 37 minutes in the game Thursday. The fact that when you look at the bench from Washington, There's no way in hell you should see Shatori Walker-Kimbrell kind of be the only counterproductive one. That just can't happen. There's got to be something better. I mean, I disagree that she's having a down year. I just think that her minutes have regressed in a sense. So you're going to see her numbers dwindle a bit, but I don't classify that as a down year. But they've really, really got to take this next step. Like, I feel like they were not aggressive. Phoenix threw a 2-3 zone, and it's the same shots. If you're playing man to man, I would expect you to take those shots. I mean, to really see like they just look like a deer in headlights. I don't think that's not. I'm not concerned, but I was scratching my head because I've kind of heard this before. We need to be more aggressive. We need to be more aggressive. And I'm like, what is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, no, and I don't think the dust up. And I'm not going to really call it dust up. Sophie Cunningham and Maisha Hines-Allen going at it. I don't think that got in our heads. I don't buy that because Maisha Hines-Allen, first and foremost, did not back down, just for the record. I understand Sophie Cunningham as a black belt, but Phoenix likes to chirp. They are probably one of the most trash talking teams in the W. They kind of have a reputation for chirping. I want to say diarrhea at the mouth, and sometimes it can be diarrhea at the mouth, but sometimes they like to talk. That's just Phoenix. And also, too, Phoenix likes to finesse. There were a lot of times I saw a lot of finessing. Like Skylar Diggins and Diana Taurasi were honestly and truthfully the reason why they won that game. But also, too, when you look at Phoenix as a cohesive unit, their bench was not productive. Phoenix had a bench that did nothing. I mean, the fact that practically their starting five, but minus a Diamond DeShoots who went down with an injury, 2 scores that scored 20 points or more.
These are legitimate questions. I don't have answers. I'm starving for answers. I'm starving for them because I don't have them. I'm so disgusted because I got to be out there at that game this Saturday. I got to see this. Inquiring minds want to know why. I truly do want to know why.
So, I mean, I felt like we did lose. I felt like we just did not play Mystic basketball. I coached, and I'm going to play the post-game clip. He said there's a couple people, now he didn't mention names, but they like to get under your skin. And I do feel like that wasn't the cause. They just were not aggressive. They just didn't hit open shots against a 2-3 zone. The fact that you only scored 30 points and the halftime.
I just don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. This is disgusting. It's disgraceful. It's embarrassing. And I'm ticked off. It don't make any sense. This is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And something needs to be done about it. Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
I'm going to play the post-game clip for the game. I mean, other than that, I mean, it was really, truly disappointing. I felt like we had that game. It just was just weird that, particularly in the fourth quarter, Elena didn't get touches on the ball. And again, come playoff time, it's going to be physical because the game slows down. But it just that was really disappointing to watch. But so here's the post game clip for Coach T in the aftermath of the Phoenix game.
Around this morning and seemed to kind of carry over. Did you have that feel even before the game started?
Yeah, I mean, we had energy at practice yesterday. We had good focus this morning.
Wait a minute. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. That's not the one. Give me 1 second. Okay, now I have the right one.
Okay, Mike. Physical, chippy kind of a game. How tough, I guess, is it to kind of stay in it? I guess mentally, really. It seems like.
Well, if you're a good pro, you should be able to. I thought a couple people, I'm not going to name names, just when all that stuff started, there's a history there. Phoenix players who understand that that's part of getting under people's skin in pro basketball. I thought we let it affect us a little bit tonight. We certainly, before all that, we're shooting the ball well, and, they came out and they switched to the zone after all that. And, we go from shooting, 13 for 28 in the first half and go 9 for 37 in the second half. That's not going to win any games. We got wide open looks, hesitated. When you hesitate, you tend to miss some shots. So, sorry. So I don't know. I mean, I thought we let the zone bother us a little bit tonight, and yet in some ways we didn't. We got great shots. Got to make them. The other part of it is, we had low turnovers early, and all of a sudden we turn around and, we end up with 19 turnovers. They didn't score a ton of points off them, but it's just shots that we don't get to shoot.
What do you say on the sideline at that point to kind of try to get everybody composed?
Well, what I said to him at the timeout in the second quarter, and I said it again at halftime, is, if we were playing against man-to-man and we got those same shots, would we be thrilled? And the answer was, yeah, we would be thrilled to get these wide open looks. So why are you hesitating? Because it's a zone? I mean, you have to shoot your shot, and we didn't do a good job of that. And then I thought, when we got a little scrambled down the stretch, I think, a really calming factor would be to throw the ball to Elena. And I thought we didn't even look for her sometimes. We had stuff drawn up where she, would have an opportunity to catch it. And then we went 4 straight possessions without her touching it, I think. So that's not probably good basketball on our part.
So nice one for me, knowing, Phoenix does like to get under people's skin. Knowing that's how they play, how do you not let that happen? And
You tell me. You tell me. That's called being, that's going to be like the playoffs. Playoffs are, physical and chippy and all of that. And, we said to our players early on, you can't do this game with them. That's not what you want. Just play.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
They tend to get a little bit, it gets the crowd riled up. Things happen.
Skip. Good Lord. Thank the good Lord I am on FCC airwaves. I thank the good Lord. It's hard to take, man. I don't understand it.
They're playing small. I wanted to try to get more shooting on the floor to stretch their defense. They basically weren't guarding her and Elizabeth in the zone other than, some of it. I just felt like we needed to score a little bit against the zone. And right now I thought Maisha would give us that chance tonight. Obviously, the only way she was able to score tonight was to get to the free throw line.
Yep. I'm going to transition to Maisha and Ariel because, hear what they got to say.
Hey, y'all. First rookie game tonight. Maisha, obviously, there was the moment with Sophie. How much does that kind of throw everything off from there on? Because you guys were playing so well beforehand, and it just seemed like things got out of sorts from that point on.
I really don't know how to answer that question, to be honest, because we don't want to play into like what their antics, but like I don't think that's what caused us to like down like a spiral downhill, So that's just that.
Well, what do you think was the biggest change from you guys come out so hot in that first quarter, and then things kind of trailed off from that point? So, second quarter, moving forward.
That zone kind of messed us up. We were hesitant to do anything in it. Defensively, we were just not ourselves. Like that first quarter, like you said, we were playing so well. And defensively, we were letting them see anything they wanted to see, get open shots, layups, didn't matter. Like we weren't playing our basketball like how we normally play. That's how I feel about that.
Besides, that moment, it was a physical game throughout. Yeah. And how do you think you guys responded in that aspect of the game?
I think we could have been more aggressive. Speaking of Mai's comment on the zone, I think we allowed it to let us get a little lazy and lackadaisical. That's the same word. But yeah, we just didn't have the same aggression.
This is for either you, both of you. Mike talked about it also. Said they're a team that likes to get under opponent's skin, and you guys know that before coming in. How do you not let it do that?
I don't think they got under our skin. To be honest with you, that's just the way that they are. That's the way that they play. You saw what you saw. Some calls probably should have been made. Some calls probably weren't. Boom. It is what it is. That's the way they play. Yeah.
Just one last thing. What was kind of the conversation that you guys were going on just throughout about trying to stay in the moment? And there's long breaks, timeouts, reviews,
so many
technicals,
reviews,
and flagrants, and all that. With all of this extra stuff going on, how do you try to stay focused on the moment and still try to execute when all that stuff kind of throws you out?
You ain't gonna speak?
All right. Good.
I got it. Just gotta stay locked into the game plan, which is something we didn't do. But it's basketball. It's not gonna be perfect. There's gonna be ups and downs. There was a lot more reviews than I would have liked to have happened tonight, than probably a lot of us would have liked to have happened. But it's not like we can just be like, hey, can we start back playing? Like, they in charge of the game. And like it's as far as I can talk.
Appreciate y'all.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So that aggressiveness that you're talking about, obviously you'll go watch film, you're watching on Saturday and prep for Minnesota on Sunday. How do you then bring out that aggression consistently? How do you hope to change that? Minnesota comes out with its zone on Sunday. What are you hoping to be able to apply in this game forward?
Just play basketball. Like we know how to play. We know how we want to play. We're an aggressive team. Like we should never have a team, have us hold the ball on top of our heads, be scared to penetrate, take second guess our shots that we normally take without hesitation. So I think just moving forward, not even just looking at the Minnesota, but like Tosh was saying in the locker room, like for our playoff run, preparing for playoffs, we have to like get all this shit. Ooh, shoot, get all this stuff. My bad.
All the time.
Oh, I ain't listen. I ain't trying to get in trouble.
Not in trouble.
I heard fines. I heard fines. Yeah, I already got to pay. Anyway, yeah, we gotta look and set ourselves up right for playoffs. So it starts, once we get back to DC. Like that's really what it is. Thank you.
So I mean, yeah, it was a disappointing loss. It sucked. I know that they're capable of fixing these things. They're all simple fixes. I've said that God knows how many times. You're going to see that. I've kind of noticed that around the league that it is kind of more of a 2-3 zone. But just got to be aggressive. That's really the key. And then today, as I said, it was my first missed a game and going to in person. First and foremost, I had a wonderful time. It was a great experience. I think looking at it from a fan perspective, I think watching the game in person versus watching it on whether it's on a laptop or on TV or on my phone, it gives you a different perspective. Everybody was out. Everybody really stands behind this team. That's the one thing I love is when you stick by it through with your team. It was nice to see they gifted before the game. They gave Sylvia Fallows her love. They donated a bike for her foundation, which was really nice. So much respect to her. They had a thing on the screen. It was Coach T. It was Taj Deladon. Just talking about the impact she's done for this game. It's interesting to give a bike to one of the children that was there on a center court with her as a going away gift. That was nice. She didn't play a lot in the second half. From what I understand, she had a lower leg injury. To me, that's what it looked like. That she did finish with 4 points and 4 rebounds. So that was interesting. That was very interesting. But as far as just I would go again without a shadow of a doubt. I would. I really, really tell people just go to just a game, just watch it. It was a great experience. Food was a little pricey. The food was. I'll be honest. It was pricey. But my goal is to cover the team in person from a media perspective. I got to see it from a fan perspective. Now I want to see from a media perspective. It's actually mentioned I could keep myself, reaching out and branching out to different people and asking, hey, how should I approach this question with this player or this coach? And I'm kind of learning from them, kind of shadowing them. So other than that, it was a great experience. I had a great time. If you told me this Mystic team coming against Minnesota, we've beaten this Minnesota team before. The other one that didn't play, again, Nafisa Collier, I know she just recently gave birth. So she probably will be back depending on where Minnesota is in the playoff wise. But honestly, to me, Shakira Austin's handled that battle against Sylvia Fallows well. For me, it's just consistency that was the key. Elena, I know I could tell from the first few minutes, she looked a little off I'm not sure if she was dealing with some tightness in terms of her back or whatnot. But as the game progressed, they were getting going. Now, this is what's alarming. Now, and I'm glad I saw it from seeing it in person versus on TV. The Mystics offensively come playoff time. I have some questions. I understand come playoff time, the defense wins championships, but just as a cohesive unit today, to see them shoot 37% from the field and only make 1 3 out of 7, I'm sorry, 37% from the field and 28% from from 3. I mean, the turnovers were down. We forced them to turn the ball over 16 times, Minnesota, but we've really, really got to start tightening things up on the offensive side of the ball. That's why I think the offense moves so better and moves so efficiently when Atlanta's out there. But I kind of can see where there is they couldn't make the moves where they could because of salary cap. Like, Alicia Clark, her contract. And then you paid Errol Atkins. Then you paid Maisha Hines-Allen. You paid Natasha Cloud. Like, those things kind of hamper, the moves you want to make. Not saying the moves he made were good. I mean, they were great moves on paper. It looks good. But defensively, we are the number 1 ranked defense. And offensively, there's just some things I like to see him get better at, and it's particularly just making shots. I mean, I was shocked. I mean, look at this box score. I mean, Elena Deladon, Errol Atkins, and Shatoi Walker-Cameron were the only ones in double figures. And the bench was very productive. I just think that a lot of it was just got to make shots. I mean, especially coming off of a loss like Minnesota, it starts with the defense. I think that's always been the Mystics' bread and butter. That's what played a big factor in us winning that 2019 championship. People, don't want, say, well, you had, kind of an offensive juggernaut, but that defense was the key more than anything. You've got to that has to be your identity, and that's what I saw. Now, Minnesota Lynx, just for some context, Daryl, what's going on, sir? Good to see you. And shout out to Daryl Fisher. Does a good video with the Fanta. I'm still trying to figure out what that flavor could be. I got to look for that in my stores. Appreciate it. Minnesota, they were dealing with some travel issues. Now, I could not get on the Zoom for pregame because I was en route to the game as media availability happened. So it's not funny, but Coach T there was a question regarding Minnesota because Minnesota, we had flight issues. As it's known, the W flies commercial. Their flights are not chartered. And there has been a lot of issues with practically all the teams in terms of flight delays, flight canceling, all that. So Minnesota, they had an issue with flights. And from what I understood, according to some sources that I saw and read, that the league did contact them, tried to get an alternative, and Minnesota said no. Coach T talked about it in the pregame, and he basically said, "Look, I understand, but that's not my problem. We went through the same thing early part of the season, and people looked at it and said the same thing. We don't feel bad." He kind of made a joking remark. He kind of went like this, but we understand. Like, this is an issue that's been happening for years. This is nothing new. Like, we can't get numb to this. Like, this is something hopefully in the next CBA that's addressed, because stay focused, Nathan. It was just a mess. So I could tell fatigue definitely played a role. They didn't look like themselves out there in Minnesota. I mean, Kayla McBride was your leading scorer with 16 points. Ariel Powers, I mean, she played the most minutes. I think she played like 33. Cheryl Reeves did everything she could to make sure minutes were allotted and not really put a lot of wear and tear on their bodies. Like, that time when they come here is to really rest and prepare. They just didn't really have that. Other than that, everybody was in the sync with just they're only Ariel Powers and Kayla McBride were only two and double figures. I mean, seeing it in person, it was great to see the Mystics win. But offensively, there's some things they're going to have to fix. Offensively, defensively, they made Minnesota take tough shots, and I think that really has been, again, that's just the identity, defense. It's kind of interesting, and I got a piece of tape I want to show you because there was a post-practice game. It was a post-practice media call Saturday, and I threw Coach T off with this question. I'm also on Twitter and Facebook, sir. So I have a piece of tape because I asked him a question from the Phoenix game and the Connecticut game because they practically gave you the same defense. Did you see any similarities? Let me actually play that piece of tape before we get into the for this post media call with tonight.
Scores came off of some of our players shots or you it takes away from you.
Oh, sorry.
On Zoom?
Here we go.
Sorry, Coach. We'll go to Nathan.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yes, sir. Question. Did you see any similarities from the game the other night in Connecticut in terms of from the offensive perspective of not hitting shots, turning the ball over? Do you see any kind of the same things that?
I'm lost. You said Connecticut.
Well, we played Connecticut, and then the other night against Phoenix.
Connecticut was a couple weeks ago.
Well, I'm talking about in terms of those games.
Oh.
Similarities in terms of not making shots, turning the ball over. Like, did you see any similarities in those games?
Had to make a think about this one.
I don't know. I mean, it was funny because in the Connecticut game, they came out and zoned us, and we played so well against it that they got out of it. And I think we were kind of our own worst enemy, probably. Yeah, I think the similarity is that when you have sloppy games, you have some turnovers. But I don't think the games were similar at all. I don't think they were even close to being similar. Different styles of play. Connecticut's really physical and more inside oriented, and beat you up that way. And Phoenix is more finesse and more zone defense and more 3-point shooters. I didn't see a lot of similarities between the two games.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I asked him that because I actually went back and looked at that tape against Connecticut, and I did see some type of similarities in terms of the exact same defense. They just weren't. I think, were not aggressive. Like, Phoenix does finesse, and Connecticut is a inside-outside team. And I'm like, okay, Minnesota kind of resembles that because Minnesota coming in this game, Minnesota actually was on a tear. They were on a roll. They won the last four of the last 5. Because remember, this Minnesota Lynx team at the beginning was like disappointing, and now they've really kind of bounced back. But for them to score 57 points, that's actually their season low this season so far. I actually couldn't believe that when I saw that stat. I was amazed when I saw it. It was also Japanese Heritage Day because the Mystics signed Rui Machida, who's on the Japanese Olympic basketball team. So it was great to have a day celebrated for her, and just how globally we're building bridges, within the basketball community. I love how there was a point in the game where she had an open shot and we all screamed, shoot the ball. But I mean, other than that, it was a great game. I had a great time. If I would do it again, hell yeah, I would go. Now, some of these games, I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm not going to go to, no disrespect. I think one game, the New York Liberty, for example, they play like 11 o'clock in the morning. No, that's too much. But we did sweep the Minnesota Lynx tonight. We're 3-0. We did outscore them in the paint. It was like 32-28. I think we dished the ball out 21 times. We're now 14-4 when that happens. Other than that, Shakira Austin, actually, she just surpassed Shalonda Enos for the most rebounds so far in 20 games. Miss Enos did that in 19 games, and that was the third most by a Mystic rookie. That was the 1998-1999 season. Also, too, Shakira has the most 5 or more rebounds as any rookie this season. So it says a lot about her on the defensive side of the ball and offensive side of the ball too. But I will say this: they were physical. The Minnesota Lynx, they were very physical with her. I appreciate you. Thank you, there. They were really for there was a couple of times Elena was on the ground. And I'm like, woo. But let me play those clips for y'all, and then that's going to be it for the video. That's
held them to 33 points. This was a team that was really hot offensively, 33% shooting, 16 turnovers. What did you like most about your defense today?
All of it. I mean, inside, outside. We made them have to take tough shots. Even like McBride ended up with, 16 or 18, but she had to take tough shots. She got us on a couple back doors, but, we were determined to make every shot contested for them. Try not to give them too many second shots. In the first half, we did a really good job of that. They had a couple, Shepard, who I think is maybe the top 5 offensive rebounder in our league, had some offensive boards, but in general, we kept them off the boards too. So really helps. We're not shooting particularly great. We missed, some of our best players missed some shots right in front of the rim. So, you get a few of those back, then, the game looks a little easier than that, but we'll take it.
Shots didn't go down as we like, but still the response from Phoenix.
And they zoned us some, and we got good shots. We moved the ball well. I think we had, almost 85% of our baskets were off of assists.
Yes.
Tonight. And
really quick, from where I was sitting, you can hear him when there's a blunder or a mistake. He will let them know. He will let them know. You can hear him,
and that's huge. I just like the feel of the game, despite missing some shots. We got the ball where we wanted to go most of the time. Yeah. She's feeling more comfortable. She was a little tight today, actually. She wasn't feeling this, as great as she has maybe the last few games, but Once we got going and she got warm, it went well. And she took some hard shots too. But she's starting to get her feel back for, not just the post ups and around the basket, but, stepping into some jump shots. I mean, she missed a couple that she was surprised she missed, and then she made, the next one right after that. So, 21 points, 10 rebounds. And part of it is that her rebounding has been at a high level over this last couple weeks too. I mean, she's had double-digit boards a couple times. So I think she's just feeling more comfortable, and she's had more time to work with her teammates too.
Are you still holding your breath sometimes? Maybe she takes.
Oh yeah. And not just her. I mean, Ariel took some hard ones today. I mean, she's taken it since she got it. We keep trying to tell her to, not to run into Sylvia Fowles' screens. Yeah, I mean, we hold our breath, but it's part of coming back and being a part of it. You're going to get jostled and hit, and the whole thing that we do know is that her back is strong. It's just constant maintenance more than anything.
For Tosh, I know the season coming. Really want to talk about. She want to focus on her shooting and be identified more as a shooter. For you, obviously, her being the primary facilitator on this team, what have you seen as for being able to balance both her wanting to be more aggressive, but also still being able to facilitate all the players in your offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think she knows that the priority is to facilitate, but to be played honestly, you've got to be making some open shots. She missed a couple that she'd like to have back today too. I mean, layup down at the other end in front of their bench. She said, I blew the layup. So, but she has 8 assists, 6 boards, guards Aerial Powers for most of the game. That's a lot of an assignment as it is. So, on the nights that she has great shooting games, that's a plus. But we'll take what we got tonight if we get that almost every night. So, she's been great.
So, do you feel like you've seen more zone this season than in past seasons?
Throughout the league, there's more teams playing zone. We haven't played it particularly because I think we're good at what we are. We're first or second rated defensive team in the league for a reason. And to be a really good zone team, you got to spend more practice time on it, which we don't have. We played a little bit last year when we were hurt, but we feel like our best man defense has zone principles to it anyway.
It does.
Feel like we don't get as much ball pressure when we play zone. So that's why we're going to keep playing what we're doing for the most part.
And when you guys are on offense against the zone, what was the difference in this game versus the last game?
I think we moved the ball a little quicker. I think we penetrated a little bit more against it. We got it in the lane a few times. I mean, we got some great shots in the lane that we missed in the third quarter. But I just felt like we got the ball where we wanted to go with it. We have to just make the shot.
There was a couple stretches throughout the game where Minnesota Lynx to 2 points, 4 points. I guess when the ball is going in, how comfortable do you feel about those stretches where your defense is that elite?
Oh, I mean, it's kept us above water when we're not shooting well. I mean, that's something we've talked about from day one, is that we can hang our hat on that every night. That you're going to have up and down shooting nights, but if you can be consistent on the defensive end, then you give yourselves a chance. And so here's a perfect example. We shoot 37, 38%, but we win a game by 13 because we were so good at the defensive end. Mm-hmm. And, we chart how many times we get 3 stops in a row. I don't know what it ended up tonight, but there were a lot of those tonight. And you see how many streaks of shots you can get, how many times you can stop somebody in a sequence. And I think we've been, among the better teams in the league at doing that this year.
Another thing, just a side note, Roy looked like she was kind of aggressive with her shot selection. Like, what would you take away from that?
I would like to invite the ambassador to come back every day, if that's what it takes. But it's just, she's getting a little bit more minutes again, and her teammates are encouraging her to do that. And I think there's, some breakthroughs in that regard. So. It impacted her to start the second half because we had to retape it at halftime. So that's why she missed the first couple minutes of the third quarter. She just didn't feel comfortable, and so we retaped it right at halftime. But she held up pretty well.
All right, Coach, we'll head over to Zoom. Michelle?
Yeah, thank you. Coach, you mentioned defense is something you've hung your hat on. Do you feel that's going to be the biggest key down the stretch? Not to say your offense isn't really good, but it really can.
Right now, it isn't really good.
Well, it can be, though. Is defense going to be the biggest key for you guys in terms of down the stretch and headed into a playoff spot?
I think so. I mean, I think that, during free agency and during the draft, we were limited in some of our options financially. We committed ourselves long-term, last year to some players, and luckily we already had Natasha and Ariel Atkins here. But when we went out a year ago, getting Alicia Clark was a big deal for us.
Yep.
As a defender. Signing Elizabeth Williams was a priority. And then, kind of the ultimate decision in the draft was, we didn't know the status of our healthy post players or not, but Shakira Austin, I thought, gave us a chance to get an elite level young defensive player. And so, it's not my normal identity probably, as a coach sometimes to place defense over offense. At least, when we won the championship a few years ago, I would say people probably recognized us more as an offensive team, even though the last half of the season we were one of the top 3 defensive teams in the league, but we were scoring so much that, people kind of forget about that. But right now, we have an abundance of good defensive players, and we have to have that as our identity.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to save the players when I record for the Keeping It 94, Coding Keeping It 94 51's Basketball Network. I'm going to share those clips. I'm going to break these episodes down a little bit. But pretty much, man, it's time for the Washington Mystics to take that next step. They have it on paper. This is, to me, a championship caliber team. They just have to just really just play great basketball. But also, too, like, I understand there's going to be ups and downs. But they got to be also reminded, they're champions for a reason. Watching some of these games have been, from a fan and from 2 different personalities, it's tough because I know they can fix it, and you see them make improvements from the Phoenix game. Defense was an issue, but also, too, when you're not making shots, that's another thing. You can hang your hat on the defense, but also, too, on the offensive side, when you got to make shots, you got to make shots. So it was a great win. I felt like momentum-wise, it was needed. When you look at the standings, we are actually still in the fifth seed. This is still anybody's race. For me, and my personal opinion, I do feel like that these seedings are pretty much a lock at this point, painfully. With that being said, because I don't see I can see the Washington Mystics. Actually, I take it back. I can see the Washington Mystics sneaking and getting that 4th seed before season's end.
Guaranteed.
When I look at the rest of the seeding, right now, the Chicago Sky are in first place, 19-6. The Minnesota Lynx, the Las Vegas Aces are 18-7. Behind them is Seattle, 17-8. Connecticut Sun, 16-9. We are 16-11, the Washington Mystics. The Atlanta Dream and the Dallas Wings are 11-14 apiece. And the final seed for the 8th seed, if the playoffs start today, the Los Angeles Sparks are 10-14. So 1 through 8, you have the 6th and 7th seed that can make the playoffs with below 500 records.
Hell no.
With that being said, that's going to conclude the video. For me personally, like I said, it was a great experience. I had a great time at the game. I encourage people to go. it takes to me it takes your mind off work. I mean, just to sit there, just sitting at a basketball game, not think about work. You don't have to think about anything, but just you're enjoying a good basketball game. It's just it takes away. It's not a distraction. I felt like the whole day, even this whole week, I just felt nothing positive. Was like, I can't wait for this basketball game. I couldn't wait for it. Where they play, there's actually an historical or it's an actual historical landmark. It was the St. Elizabeth Psychiatric Ward. It became a historical landmark in the 90s where they play. And I was a little at first kind of creeped out because some of the buildings you can see them they're actually renovating it. I know at some point they want to do something with it, but I was like, okay. But I mean, other than that, I had a great time. If you got a WNBA team in your city, Los Angeles, Dallas, Minnesota, Seattle, Vegas, Los Angeles, Connecticut, Atlanta, New York, Phoenix, check one of the games out. Just check it out for yourself. I'm telling you, you really get a different perspective. That's what I'm saying. That's how I'm leaving it at that. But the Washington Mystics, the next 5 games, this is going to be interesting. We got the New York Liberty first. We've got New York Liberty Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then we're on the road at Dallas on the 28th. That's 8 p.m. Then we got the Seattle Storm, July 30th at noon. And then we see the Seattle Storm again on the 31st, 3 p.m. And then to start off the month of August, we painfully have to see the Las Vegas Aces here.
What? What? And you got to be kidding me.
I'm just kidding. But and then after that, we have actually 3 more games in August. Really, really quick. Let me just check that schedule because I know we have the Indiana Fever. That's our last home game for the season, and that's actually it. So really, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games left. Because we got to go to Los Angeles. We got Indiana on the 12th. That's a Friday. And they come home Sunday. So we got 9 games left, and then playoffs for the Washington Mystics. So that's when I conclude the video. Y'all let me know your thoughts. Thank you for those that were in the comments tonight. Sean Spencer, Daryl Fisher. Appreciate y'all being here. Share the podcast. Please like, comment, subscribe. Until then, tomorrow you'll see me with the WNBA awards, who I think should get their awards respectively. And then at some point, you will see another video with the Baltimore Orioles going over their draft. Because their draft today, who they took with the number one overall pick, I was shocked. I'm just going to leave it at that. In a good way, but it was surprising. But that being said, I will catch you guys on...
It is what it is. It's so great to be great.
Listen, I'm easy to find.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.
And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.